We've all had moments that break us down, searching for light when the world spins round. But in those cracks, the purpose is born, a new way to live when the old is torn. It's more than a story, it's the rise from the fall, a place where your purpose starts to call. With Dr. Stephenson, wisdom takes flight, turning your pain into hope, into light. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. From heartbreak to strength, the lessons unfold. It's about how we rise, not the stories we've told. Guests with their journeys, sharing their light. In every collision, there's power in sight. It's more than a talk, it's the wisdom we gain through every struggle, through every pain. With conversations that open the door to purpose, to power, to so much more. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. So come as you are, with your scars and fears. This is the place where the truth appears. Turn your trials into stepping stones. Find the strength to claim your throne. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. A collision with purpose, your journey starts here. In every conversation, we'll wipe away fear. Find your purpose, let your life ignite. With Dr. Stephenson, you'll find your light.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to the A Collision with Purpose. You're watching life-changing conversations to inspire actions. Here we challenge you to reflect deeply and take bold steps towards transformation. I am your host, Dr. Laxley Stephenson. In each episode, we uncover the powerful life-defining moments that have shaped the lives of our guests, ordinary people who have turned adversity into triumph. But this isn't just about their stories. It's about you, our audience. It's about your actions to ignite your purpose and create meaningful change in your life. Today, I am joined by a remarkable guest, Mina Ayanga. Together, he and I will cut through the noise, tap into your potential, and inspire action. The time for change is now. So let us get started. Mina Ayanga is a husband. He's the firstborn in a family of two, was raised in Vihiga County in Kenya's western region. His parents, a Coptic Orthodox priest and a dedicated tailor, instilled in him strong values of kindness and dedication. Tragically, he lost both parents by the age of 7 and was lovingly raised by his grandmother. Despite facing significant challenges, Mina persevered through his education, ultimately earning a bachelor's degree in education. Today, he serves as a junior secondary teacher, dedicated to making a meaningful impact on the students' lives. Folks, let us welcome Mina to the stage.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's a great privilege and an honor to be on this platform today and to be in this session with you here today, even as I look forward to sharing my story and hopefully that it will inspire people to live a more purposeful life. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Well, Mina, it is my pleasure to have you on. And I'm looking forward to a candid, just a happy, good conversation. You know, you've had an interesting life, and I know that you sharing your story today will not only make a difference in your life, but it will also impact others. Again, welcome to Life Changing Conversation to Inspire Action. My guest is Mina Ayanga, and today we're going to inspire action, just as we said. So, Mina, before we go into our conversation, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Number one, as you mentioned, I'm a teacher. I'm very much dedicated teacher in Kenya here. I teach in Vihiga County in a level schools that we are calling the junior secondary school. It's like the middle level where we finish and then you go to the senior secondary school. Apart from that, I'm a husband. I got married recently. I'm very much happy about that. And hopefully soon also I'll be a parent. And apart from that, I love to inspire people. I like to motivate people. I'm all about motivation, all about inspiring, because I believe all of us need that, and we all need to live a better life. And apart from that, also, I'm a man of faith. I'm a deacon also at the Coptic Orthodox Church. I think that's a little bit of what I can say about myself, Doc.
Oh, I didn't know that part about you being a deacon. So that's something new, you know.
Yeah.
But I want you to share some memories of your parents. You know, I know they passed when you was at an early age, but share whatever memories you have.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I lost my parents when I was still very young. But one thing I can remember is that I had very good memories I have very good memories about my parents. They were very good and loving parents. And one thing I always remember about them, and something that has always stayed in my mind and my heart, is how they would always indulge me. You know, I have those little memories of how they would indulge me a little bit in all the things that they used to do. My dad was a priest in the Coptic Orthodox Church. And a number of times when he was doing, maybe, let's say, visiting the sick, maybe going to pray for some people somewhere, or maybe even just visiting a church, a number of times he would ask me to accompany him. I would go with him. And out of that, I created very good memories of me staying with my dad. And also the same with my mom, you know, a number of things she used to do in her career of being a tailor. And I would stay there, you know, and that even influenced me at some point. I felt like maybe I should try and try to get into fashion, those kind of things, because of those memories, you know, I had with my parents. But generally, they are very good memories, very good fun, good memories that I have of my parents. You know.
You know, you said something there about, you know, you had the idea of you getting into fashion. You know, that's not too late, right? That's still something you can do. So that option is still available and open to you, right?
Yeah, it's still very much open, and I believe I'm still young, so it's an option that I can always explore anytime.
Now, you're from Vihiga County, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And
You
you know,
got it right, Doc.
and growing up in Vihiga County, how did that shape your perspective about community and supporting others?
Well, in my community here in Vihiga, which is in Kenya, you come to learn that in the community we have a lot of challenges. People grow up in our communities, but we have so many challenges, and you realize that everyone needs to stand with someone else. You know, it is important for us always to support each other. And if there is something that is important that I've always learned from growing up in this community, is that we all need to be standing with each other, because you find that challenges arise all the time. We live in a very unpredictable world. Something can happen today, something can happen to another person, but this person sometimes might not be in a good position, to sort out whatever it is that he or she is going through. And therefore, we need to stand with each other, and we need to support each other. So that is one of the most important things I've collected growing up in this Vihiga County.
Your grandmother, after your parents passed, and of course, both of them passed, and again, my condolences there. But your grandmother played a supportive, instrumental role. You could say she was your rock. Tell us about your grandmother. Share what you can, your memories, and is she alive now, your grandmother?
Yeah, she's very much alive. She's 84 years old now.
Well, how old is
she's 84.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a very sweet older woman. I can say that she struggled very much, and it wasn't easy for her, because as a grandmother, you realize that sometimes you feel like you've already played your part in raising up your children, and maybe you just have to relax and enjoy sometimes, little time with your grandkids, and nothing much like raising up kids. But then when my parents, both of them died, my grandmother took the responsibility of raising us. And from where I am now, looking back, I can say it wasn't easy on her. And me, I can even confess that we didn't give her so much easy time at that time, because you realize, moving from that life where you are with your parents, and then leaving your parents, now you have to start to grow. You start being raised up with your grandmother. So there were a number of things that changed over there. Like my dad was a little bit well off. So providing for us some stuff, it was easy. But for my grandmother, she used to do little small businesses in the community, and therefore it wasn't easy for her raising us up. And one thing I can say is that she was very strong, and she's a very resilient woman, because many people wouldn't like to take up that responsibility, but she did it, and she took the responsibility, welcomed it with both hands, and she has done a pretty good job, like raising up someone like me now. Many people would not have ended up like that, but I think she did a good job. And
Wow.
from her, I learned a lot of good things from her. Some of the good values that I believe I portray now, it is because of her. I've learned them from her. So she's a rock, as you just said.
She is your rock, indeed.
Yeah.
And I noticed you have not said anything about your grandfather. What role did he play?
Unfortunately, my grandfather, died a long time ago.
Mhm.
While my dad was still very young. My dad was just clearing high school. That's when my grandfather died. So my grandfather died even before I met him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Growing up without your parents in itself is a challenge, right? And especially in a situation where there were so many needs, I'm sure. You talk about it was rough for your grandmother. What were some of the unique challenges you faced as a young man? Now we're talking about you growing up. What were some of the challenges that you faced as a young man growing up in the western region of Vegas County in Kenya?
Some of the challenges that I went through. Number one, I can say that kind of emotional. I had that gap. That I felt. So mentally, it's a problem that I faced a little bit, and I had to face it over time. But I believe with counseling from friends and from other family friends and from the church, it helped me to overcome that kind of mental challenge, because it's a big problem. It's a big problem sometimes when your mind is not in the right place. It prevents you from moving from one place to another. And so loss of a parent and growing up with my grandmother, that was kind of put me in a emotional kind of a challenge there. And then also, there are also other challenges that I faced while growing up, especially in education. While growing up, sometimes accessing good education was a kind of a challenge at some point. It wasn't very easy to maneuver and move all the way to the university. It wasn't very much easy. So basically, those are some of the kind of the challenges that I faced while growing up.
And clearly you overcame them. Let me ask you a question on societal expectations as a firstborn male. As a firstborn male, what kind of pressure did that add to you as a young man growing up in Kenya?
Well, in Kenya, when you are a firstborn, you are forced to grow up very much fast than the rest of your siblings. You are required to mature up very fast. And therefore, sometimes you might even realize that it's like you are skipping some development stages while you're growing up, because you realize sometimes you're still very young. But as a firstborn, you have always to be a role model to others. So that to me was some kind of a pressure. I felt like it was a pressure a little bit to me, because being the firstborn, I was required always to be, well mannered. Even in academics, I should be doing very well in everything, I'm doing. And, we are human beings. Sometimes it's very hard to be perfect all the time. So there was immense pressure for me while growing up as a firstborn. And also another thing that I also realized of late, I don't know where to get it under society pressures or where, but you remember I mentioned to you that my dad was a priest.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in my life, I realized that many people associated me with my father.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, so someone won't talk to you, won't deal with you just like Mina, but will be dealing with you like a son of a priest. And therefore, sometimes you find them having so much and high expectations on you that you won't reach. And so that I also felt like it put on me some kind of pressure. No?
Lots of pressure. Let me say again, welcome to anyone watching us. You're watching Life-Changing Conversations to Inspire Action. And today my guest is Mina Ayanga. And he's not a father yet, but soon to be a husband. And I know, talk to me about fatherhood. How you're looking forward to that, I'm sure.
So much looking forward to it, Doc. I've always enjoyed being around kids. Even here at Viga, one of my nicknames is that people call me Uncle, and it's because of my good relationship with kids around. And therefore, I can't wait, to hold mine in my own hands. I am really waiting and yearning towards that opportunity.
And your blessings is that you're not just having one, you're having two. You're having twins. So what about that? Abundance right there, right?
God is great, Doc. What can I say?
there you go with that uncle thing, right? Now you are at a father 2 times in one shot. Wow. That is awesome. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome there. Mina, I think what we'll do now, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more. All right. Again, you're watching in Conversations, Inspire Action. My guest is Mina Ayanga. He is a junior secondary school teacher.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. Yeah, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor. And I read his word, blessing come out of my mouth. Cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ. Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying his presence wherever he sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Loving others as he told me to pray for healing, miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, he is in me. I am a bold kid, he loves me, standing firm on his word, proclaiming everything I heard, not afraid because he is with me. Be bold. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Put on my armor, and I let his word blessing come out of my mouth. Because I know to whom I belong, I am bold for Christ. Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying his presence wherever he sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid.
Right, welcome back to Life-Changing Conversations to Inspire Action. My guest today is Mina Ayanga. And Mina, what a fitting song. What a fitting song to play on the break. I'm a bold kid.
It is such a nice song, Doc.
And so appropriate. You know, you're getting ready to have two bold kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, you certainly followed in your father's footsteps. Now you're a deacon. Talk to me about that.
Well, for me, being a deacon, I think is something that I really desired because I've always had this, urge in my heart to serve, and to serve God in different capacity, and therefore. Being a deacon in my church is a very good opportunity for me to also do something in the church and also in my community, because also in my life, faith plays a very big role. And I believe many of the great things also I've been able to achieve it is through God. And therefore, being a deacon also gives me an opportunity to share with people my experience with God and also help to change their lives also.
Mm-hmm. Mina, let's talk about the educational barriers and opportunities in Kenya. You know, accessing education can be challenging in Kenya. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a challenge, a very big challenge.
And especially in a rural area where you grew up, I can imagine it's more of a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge,
So,
number one.
can you share some specific obstacles you encounter in pursuing your education?
All right. In my area, number one, you realize that poverty levels are quite high, and therefore sometimes accessing good education becomes quite a challenge. You see that even for me and many others in my area, while growing up, you find that we had very few schools around, and therefore going to school forces you to walk for so many kilometers going to school, and you had to walk, you had to trek all the way to the school very early in the morning and sometimes come back very late in the evening. It's a very big challenge. You can imagine doing that every day, 5 days and sometimes 6 days a week. So that was a big challenge. Also, another challenge that we are facing and that I faced, and many people still face it today, is that you find the schools we have do not have, they are not well equipped. So that you find like the resources in the schools are very few. Teachers are very few in schools. And therefore, you find there is a big gap. Some of the things for us, especially like in primary schools, you realize that we were never taught in class, but we had to learn those things by ourselves. You find books who are very few. They are in very few, like in very few schools, primary schools, you find libraries there. They don't have libraries, and therefore you not have enough books. And also for us, you find like some of the very basic things we needed while growing up in schools, we never had them. I remember even me at some point while I was in primary school, I had to walk to school barefooted, because even just acquiring a pair of shoe was very hard. I can remember I had one pair of shoe, but that shoe was very specific. It couldn't be used for going to school every day. That one was kept only for special days. Like maybe when we are invited for a wedding somewhere, or maybe once when you're going to church on a Sunday. But the rest of the days, man, we had to walk barefoot to school. So those are some of the challenges. We have very few resources. Sometimes we lack basic needs at schools. And also another challenge that I face also along while pursuing education was financial constraints, and that one affects many students even today. So for me, that one also affected me at some point in my life while pursuing education.
But Mina, you went on to complete your bachelor's degree in education. So despite the challenges, you did not let it hold you back or keep you down. Where do you get your motivation from? What kept you going?
Well, number one, I will say it was because of the environment. The environment we were in. You see how things are in the village. You see how the kind of life people are living, and in your heart, it's not just pleasing. You feel like life cannot continue to be this way, and therefore, number one, it was a decision that I made in my heart that I had to keep going, whatever it takes. I had to keep going with my education. I have to keep striving. I have to keep working hard, no matter what, because we realized that education was giving a lot of people opportunity to live a changed life. And then number two also was hope. And I realized hope is very important, Doc. Sometimes all you need in life is hope. You see, when you are in an environment where many things are not going right, sometimes it's also very easy to start thinking also for you, things won't go right. But I had few people in my life. One of them who happens also to be my mentor. This person played a very big role in reminding me that in front here, things will be different if you keep striving, if you keep working hard. This light at the end of the tunnel. And therefore, that motivation and just giving me hope that things will be better, that also kept me going, whatever the matters that were there. It kept me moving on, knowing that things will be different. And therefore, I realized hope is very important. And lastly, also, it is hard work, Doc. You have to work hard. You have to work hard in whatever situations you are in. And staying in the comfort zone a lot of times not good. And therefore, I had to remind myself all the time that I should not be in any kind of comfort zone, but work hard so as to achieve whatever I want to achieve in life. And that was to go on with my education all the way to the university.
Mina, you talk about this person who played such an instrumental role in your life, who just encouraged you and was there for you. What is his name? Do you mind sharing his name? And where is this person now?
Currently, this person is in our city here, one of our cities here in Kenya, in Nairobi. His name is George. He's called George Ojwang. He happens to have been a very close person to my dad. And from the way he has shared his story even with me, is that at some point, even his life was not going well. But my dad was there to hold his hand. And therefore, even when my dad had passed on and all my parents had passed on, he still remembered how my dad had took his hand throughout the difficult moments he went through. And he said, Mina, I will also stand with you, I will encourage you. And he was there supporting me, and I saw, because even for him, education played a very major role in changing his life. And so just seeing him, it was an evidence that indeed, if I follow the same path things also might turn different for me. Things will be much better. And so he has played a very big role in my life, especially the role of being a mentor to me.
So Mina, I want you to do something for me, for you, and for him, and for everyone watching. I want you to look into the camera and tell him how grateful you are for what he did for you.
Okay. Jojo Juang, I know you are watching from Nairobi. My brother, I'm so much grateful for the great things you've done in my life. And words cannot describe even how much my heart is grateful for what you have done in my life. Thank you so much, and God bless you, my brother.
That's powerful. You know, often we don't get to say that in a timely way. We wait until the person is no longer here. So I think as you're watching us, this is not just about a conversation with Mina. It's about a conversation. Go ahead, Mina.
Yeah, here in Africa, we have a saying. We usually say that someone needs to be given their flowers while they're still alive.
I think that's a universal thing, and it ought to be. It's said often, but it's not practiced enough. And thank you for doing what you did just then. So important it is. And if you're watching, reach out to that person who has done it for you. It's made such a difference in your life. So, all right. So, as you pursued your education, what are some of the most rewarding experiences you've had as a junior secondary school teacher? And tell us about the school where you teach at while you're doing that.
Yeah, apart from being a junior secondary school teacher, I've also taught in a high school. I was teaching actually in a high school, in a senior school before I joined the junior school. The junior school I'm teaching now is called Bakala Junior Secondary School. It's located within Vihiga County in a sub-county called High. It's a very great school, one of the schools here in the village. One of the great rewardings I've seen, Doc, and I've experienced, not just as a junior secondary school teacher, but generally as a teacher, is when those kids that were once in class come back, saying, I've just graduated from university. I'm now becoming an engineer because of how you taught us. Now I'm becoming a teacher like you. That is one of the most greatest fulfilling things about being a teacher. And it's one of the things that, I cannot even put a price on it. Once, those kids come back while they're grown up and they tell you how they're doing, how their life changed, that really touches my heart. And therefore, this has been one of the greatest rewarding things I've experienced as a teacher.
Wow. Just seeing these students come back and just making it happen. And do you find that these students are paying it forward? They're out there doing what you did, replicating some of the work you've done with others. Are they inclined to do that?
Yeah. A good number of them are. A good number of them, will come and say, there are a few things that we learn from you, and we're also trying to do them outside here. Just the way a teacher, you are doing this and this, we were encouraged, and therefore you are like our role model, and we are trying to emulate it. We are trying also to do it outside here. And I also think, Doc, that's how we change the world, like through those small actions, and people get inspired and people learn from each other, and you spread the same to other areas. I think this is the best way of changing the world.
I believe so. And you start by changing you, right?
Yeah, you have to start by changing yourself, and then it goes to the rest of the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about Vihiga County, where you were born and still live to this day. What kind of support system do they have there for a young man or a young lady or girl, boy who's trying to make it and struggling? What type of support system are available through the county system?
Well, I have to be honest with you, Doc. We don't have a lot of support system networks within our county to help people grow up. We have very few. And number one, the very basic support system that we have is the family unit. So you find that a number of times people get support from their families. But then when we are trying to look at maybe organizations, maybe institutions that are trying to uplift young people, young men, young girls up, there are very few. It's very even hard to find some that we can mention. So there is a very big gap in our county, in terms of support system that can help our young people to grow up in a good way and to do meaningful things in their life. The church also is trying. I've seen a number of churches trying to do, even some churches, try and pay school fees for some kids. Some have come up with small organizations to help, like the girls, to save them from early marriages and stuff like that. But the thing remains that there are very few, Doc, and therefore in our community you'll find that there are very many people who are in need of a lot of things, but still it's tough and hard to access the kind of help they need.
What about local businesses? What role do they play?
The local businesses,
Hmm.
yeah, majority of them you'll find the kind of support they give is very minimal. Because some of them you'll find maybe the local businesses, apart from just trying maybe to help and employ people, of which also those kind of local businesses that are not very many. So most of the time you find like the local businesses here, they surround just in between the families. So most of the time you find the people who benefit from these businesses are just the immediate family. Sometimes even it doesn't grow to the extended family, but we have a few that have tried, to help and employ people, try to employ young men, young girls in the community. And we have some that, you realize that you go to some schools, you find some of the local businesses, they have picked maybe 2 or 3 girls in a schools or in a university that they are paying for school fees, but they are very few and very few to mention.
As a teacher, and so you're around students, what do you see as the number one challenge that can derail the potential of a young girl gaining an education in Kenya?
Please come up again, please.
As a teacher, what from your perspective, what is the number one challenging thing that can derail a young girl from getting a good education in Kenya?
This challenge in Kenya, and even in my local area here, has always remained to be poverty. Poverty, and number two, sometimes lack of information, lack of knowledge, of how to access some kind of opportunities out here. But you realize that because of poverty, Doc, many girls, once they finish the junior school, they're supposed to go to senior school. But you realize parents sometimes they can't afford school fees and those kind of things. And so these girls just stay at home. And the next thing that happens when they're staying at home, they get married. And sometimes they're lured with very cheap things. And they see, it's cheap things, but at their home, they can't access, they can't afford. So what they do, they feel like, maybe if I get married to this guy, life will be a little bit better than the way it is at my home. And so they get married. And therefore you realize that a lot of them are dropping out from schools. A lot of them are getting married early for Mary. I knew that for some reasons that don't make a lot of sense sometimes. But still, poverty plays a big role, as one of the biggest challenges that are facing the students here.
And because of poverty, all these other problems are surfaced. Because of poverty, these young girls are inclined to get married early, drop out of school, and have children. And then, from what I've seen, there's so many single parents.
It is true. That is very true.
Yeah, and that must be a big issue, big
Yeah,
problem.
it's a big issue, Doc. And even as a teacher, I can tell you, because many of these young girls, when they get married, when they are still very young, most of them don't grow up in those marriages. They reach at a point and they break up, because sometimes you realize that the marriage itself, that they are saying they're getting married, it's not, does not have the good foundation. This marriage is just based on, like maybe small, a little provision. Maybe I will get food. Maybe I'll be able, this guy will be able to buy maybe for me some sanitary towels. And just like that, someone gets married. But then it reaches a time when they realize that their marriage is based on false foundation. And so majority of them, they break up. And therefore you realize, even in school where I'm teaching, many of the students, the young ones, are affected. They come from single families, and you realize that majority of them also are being raised up by their grandparents, because you see, after this, after this marriage breaks up, you realize that maybe sometimes the lady moves up to the city to find some job to do, and they leave the kids with the grandparents at home. And therefore, you realize this happens a lot. And we talk to students and schools, we talk with our learners sometimes. They're affected psychologically. So it's something that is happening so much.
Yeah, and I wonder what the solution is, because it's not a simple solution. Because you talk about symptoms, and we're talking about symptoms, not the problem, of course, not the root cause. And the root cause would be poverty. What about employment? We know you're a teacher. What else, young people, how are they employed? What can they do to earn a living? Especially one who's didn't earn a college degree. What do they do?
Majority that have not gone up to degree level, they do manual jobs. Sometimes we usually have manual jobs like, digging up, someone's land. Someone wants to plant, so they call you, you dig sometimes and plant. Some work at constructions, they go and construct houses. They help, those people who are constructing there, they help in the construction, and they get a little pay. So those are some of the kind of things that they do. But also recently we have seen a little revolution that is happening, especially in Kenya, when it comes to online jobs. A number of people, of young people in Kenya, especially those who have at least attained, the secondary school certificate, they know how to read, they know how to operate a computer. They're trying to learn some skills online on how to make money online and how to get some jobs online. So those are some of the things that are happening so far.
Mina, you have a number of people watching from your page. Do you want to say something to any one of them who's watching? Can you see it? You can see them in the comments. Is there anyone you want to shout out to?
See Caroline. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us. Asante sana. Asudi Edward, my brother, thank you so much for joining us on this live session. I've seen Maureen, I've seen Felicia, I've seen Grace Omondi. Grace Omondi, my friend, great to hear from you too. Thank you for leaving a comment at least. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Yeah.
So we have Dr. Donna Thompson, Dr. Juan Marcel, Gladys, we have Elizabeth Sitawa, we have Jesse, I can't pronounce the last name, Paulette Choksi Thompson. Quite a few folks joining us, and we ask that as you're watching us, you share the information. Again, we're watching life-changing conversation, and the objective here is to inspire action, and action from all of us. But that's what it is all about. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and have more of our conversation. All right, so let's take a quick break.
That strive through fire and flame, they find their way, becoming iron where courage holds sway. Becoming fiercest fight, becoming iron, shining in the night. The brave man faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Together they rise, conquering fears, becoming iron through trials and fears. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction, rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight, becoming iron, shining in the night. Becoming iron, shining in the night. The brave man faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Becoming iron knows where he belongs. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction, rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Men becoming iron, shining in the night. The brave man faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong, shining in the night. And the tales unfold and the battles new. Convictions light sees them through. From abysses deep to the morning light. They becoming iron in the endless fight. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction, rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Men becoming iron, shining in the night. In the tales of old and the battles new, convictions like season through. From abysses deep to the morning light, they become iron in the endless fight. They become iron in the endless fight. In the tales of old and the battles new, convictions like season.
Men becoming iron. How about that?
Very nice song, Doc. You have very inspiring songs.
Very inspiring songs. Yes, welcome back to Life-Changing Conversation, to Inspire Actions. And so you're saying that song is inspiring someone. You know, we describe four kinds of men, four types of men. We talk about the empowered man, the inspiring man, the brave man, and the resilient man. Which one do you identify with the most?
I think I identify most with the resilient man.
Tell me why.
You know, I think resilient man because a resilient man is one who goes through a lot of struggles, through a lot of challenges, but always adapts, always keeps on moving ahead and keeping one leg ahead of the other, keeps on moving despite the kind of challenges and obstacles that come, is still determined to keep moving. So I think I identify most with a resilient man.
And of course, you're also brave. You face the darkest night and you comes out, right? And you're empowered, no doubt. And you're inspired. And you also inspire others.
Yeah.
That is what your life has been about. So let's get back to our conversation here. I want to talk a little bit about personal loss and Cancer Awareness Initiative. You've lost family members, close friends of cancer, which is deeply, deeply serious and personal. So how did those experiences inspire you to join the Elizabeth Sitawa Cancer Community-Based Organization?
Well, look, losing anyone is usually a great loss, especially when you lose someone that you feel like still has a great potential of a number of things to do ahead of his life. But then happen and his life or her life is cut short. That's quite devastating. And so for the people, I lost two people. I've lost two people. One of them was a family, was my aunt. She died because of cervix cancer. And then I also have a very close friend of mine that died, because of the throat cancer. And one of the things I realized in both of their deaths is the kind of, they lacked information. They lacked a lot of information about cancer.
Mm.
And, it just made me to realize how much people are not aware of a number of things that we are facing. Like cancer is now is becoming very common. And therefore, the knowledge about cancer should also be very common. People need to be access to this kind of information. But for them, this kind of information they didn't have. And therefore, I always felt like if maybe, someone was there to share the kind of information we have now early enough, maybe things would have been different. And that's the number one reason I felt like this CBO will be a very great one. This CBO, I have to be part of it. I have to be part of it in bringing change to other people's life. I have to be part of it in trying to create awareness so that whatever kind of loss I felt and experienced should not be experienced by another person.
Mm. And that's a powerful point, because cancer stigma about cancer is such a big deal in Kenya. And immediately someone hear that you have cancer, they start to attribute, assign other type of illnesses to you. Things that sometimes are so far-fetched, but because of whatever toll that cancer is taking on you, they see you as something else. And they immediately assign that this person no longer exists. They're going, which is, there's no such thing. So creating awareness, providing information is a big deal to counter that. Now, it's not going to be easy, is it?
No, it's not going to be very easy because also, number one, also, as you've just mentioned, the issue of stigma. The issue of stigma is very much widespread in our communities down here in Kenya. People stigmatize so much people who are affected by cancer, and sometimes the kind of things you hear people saying about it is horrible. And to make matters worse, sometimes the people who even believe in these things, the people who say these kind of things, are people who are supposed to be taking care. Some of them, they're close family friends. You realize, in fact, you'll hear from very many cancer patients that some of the people who really said things that were really bad, things that were very negative about cancer and about them, they were close family friends. And therefore, it's not an easy, thing. It's like a bacteria, it's like a virus. But then with enough resources, with enough, information and creating awareness here and there, it's going to reduce. And again, small bits by small bits, we'll get a great change in the end.
Mm. Yeah, well, there's so many challenges with cancer, as with other things as well. But if you personally could achieve one major goal with the Elizabeth Tower Cancer CBO, what would it be?
One, still on the stigma, like I would really like to create very much, to create awareness about the cancer issue, especially how people talk about cancer patients, how people, they treat cancer patients at home, family members, even down to the level of the children, how children, should receive this kind of information about cancer. I would really wish to see, because doc, there are people who have been afraid even to go and pursue medication once they learn that they have cancer. They believe this is the end of life. And you realize that some of them, they just give up from day one. Once they learn they have cancer, they just give up. It is because of the information that people have peddled around. So for me, my biggest wish in this CBO will be to change this narrative that getting cancer is not the end of life. And especially when we treat this cancer, especially in early stages, a lot of changes can happen. You know, we can always achieve a lot, because the problem is that some people, even they don't have enough information about even the symptoms and those kind of things. And so they delay so much until when it has really advanced.
You know, you said that even from family members, you know, they are pushing that narrative as well. And so countering that and managing that within the family is a first step, I would imagine, a good place to start. So if you are a family member of a person who's fighting cancer, here's an opportunity for you to shift, change your focus, change your attitude, and be more positive and be more supportive, and understand that a person contracting or having cancer, it is not the end of the story. It's not the end of.
Absolutely.
So is there anything you want to say to that family member out there, whoever they may be?
Yeah, I would like to tell any family members, you know, that have cancer patients, that they should take care. They should take good care of them, and that cancer should not scare them. They should scare the cancer, you know, and they should not give up. They need to fight. They need to continue believing in life, and they need to be more positive. And for family members who are taking care of these patients, they need to be more positive with the patients, patient, and to be patient with them and the process of treatment, because sometimes you realize also treating cancer is not easy, but they should be patient with the patients and even with the process of treating cancer itself.
Absolutely. And family members, you have a role to play. You have a role to play, a supportive role, and to be a first point of contact for your loved ones. So change that attitude, change that outlook. Now, let's talk a little bit about life lessons and advice for young men in Kenya. We're going to talk about men right now, right? You know, there are many young men in Kenya struggling with limited opportunities. What advice would you give to those facing those type of situations? You went through it yourself. You persevered. You had good mentoring and good support from your grandmother and from this gentleman and maybe another person or so. But not everyone is so fortunate. What do you have to say to these individuals, these young men?
Number one, to my fellow young men and others who are trying to pursue other opportunities and things are not turning up well, I think number one I would say to them is, do not lose hope. That is number one thing you should never lose. Do not lose hope. Keep fighting, keep trying, keep being persistent with whatever you're doing. At some point, things will change. And also, do not give up. Do not give up easily. Do not give up easily. And try and start from where you are. Sometimes it might be about education, keep your hard work in education, even as much as these days people are saying a lot of, you can pursue education, go to the highest level and still don't get a job. Start from where you are, whatever opportunities you see around you, try and seize them and use those small opportunities to try and catapult you to other great opportunities that you may desire in the near future.
I like you said, start from where you are. Too often, so many individuals blame their situation, their circumstances. Yes, sometimes it's very challenging and difficult, but that is not a reason not to try, not to go after it. There's such a saying as grow where you're planted. This is where I am. This is where I'm going to operate from. This is where I'm going to grow from. This is where I'm going to become better from. So I'm so much liking what you said about that. Start from where you are. In terms of skills, because we can get an education or we can go learn something, but we need to be very aware of the skills that are needed in our communities, right? In the ecosystem where we're existing. So what are some of the skills that you think are most important for young men? And we're just going to talk about Vega County or Western Kenya. What are some of the skills you believe are best suited for individuals, young men and women for that matter, to pursue that will make them more productive?
Yes, young people in my county, one of the skills I would say, um, they need to be quite assertive and also try to explore all kind of new opportunities, because sometimes we usually have those traditional uh, maybe jobs, traditional careers, that we always feel these are the only ones we should pursue. I think it is time to be assertive, to be courageous enough, and try new things. People need to be innovative also, to be quite innovative, because now when we are talking about digital, and I told you, number of people now have gone to online jobs or trying to get jobs there. And I think it's something that is very possible even for the people who are here in Viga. These are kind of things that they should try and explore, so as to try and seize opportunities for themselves.
Mhm. What are some of the misconceptions that society holds about young men facing hardship in Kenya? How do they see these young men?
Well, one of the problem is that the challenges for the young men has become very much common, to an extent that people are just seeing it as a normal thing. And I think it's not a good thing. People, young people in Kenya and here in my county are going through a lot of challenges. And the problem is that we have assumed, as a communities have assumed that it is okay, it is normal. Everyone is going through a hard time, everyone is going through challenges. And therefore, you're finding that many of these young people are ending up so much depressed, because sometimes they even feel like people do not understand them. People are not helping them. The government is not helping. And I think the government has been trying, but you see also the kind of things the government is doing in the communities, it's very limited. It's not enough. You know, economies in the world, and I think many countries in the world are not growing as fast as the populations in these countries are growing, and therefore you find that challenges, especially of unemployment, lack of jobs, they continue to grow day by day. So that's one of the greatest challenges I can say among the people, or among the young people I see here in my Vihiga County.
Mm. Now let's reflect a little bit, and I want you to give some advice for anyone who's listening. And looking back, what advice would you give to young people facing any kind of adversity? It could be Kenya, wherever they are. What are some advice you'd share?
Well, one thing I would tell young people going through challenges is that number one, while they go through those challenges, they should not feel like it is the end of everything. I believe there is always light at the end of the tunnel. They should never lose hope. They should keep working hard. They need to try and find any kind, any place, any place you can find something little to hold on. Keep holding on there, and do not lose hope in life. And you keep that way, things will get better at some point. Things will get better, but do not give up. I do not feel like it's the end of life. Still have that hope in your heart and keep striving. You know that with the time, things will get better.
Hmm. Hope, 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 and action. And
Yes,
take.
absolutely. Hope and some action. You hold on to hope and you do something.
You can't just wish and hope. You must also act on it. And it's better to
Yes,
do something than not to do anything at all. It's okay even if you get it wrong, but just keep doing. Because through doing, you will learn how to be better, to become better at whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? So we learn lessons
yes,
from trying. Now, we're drawing down to the end of our conversation. Mina, is there anything that else you'd like to add that you didn't get a chance to talk about? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
One more last thing I think I would like to add, Doc. Even in sharing my story, I think you've realized I had to mention a few names here and there. I mentioned George. I mentioned my grandmother. There's also family at the background. I think as a person, we always need support. We always need to stand with each other. And therefore, even in this world, as we go through adversaries, as we go through challenges, I think all of us need to try and hold each other's hands. We are living in a world full of challenges, and people are committing suicide every day. People are depressed. People are living in stress. But always let us try to hold each other's hands. Sometimes I might not be good in something, but my friend can be good in that thing. He can help me. We can help each other. And together that way, we will continue to grow. And I believe that is the true definition of success.
The true definition of success, right?
Yeah.
There's a thing that some people see success as standing on the podium and being rewarded. Others see success as looking back at the support system, the coach, the different trainers, and all those who help them to get on the podium. So it's interesting depending on your perspective, but I like yours. I like that the community support could be friends, family, and whatever. It's just not just you, because you're not an island. No, what they say, no man stands alone, right?
True, absolutely.
Right. We all, so important. So before we go, I want you to talk about the importance of kindness. How important is kindness?
This is one of the greatest values actually I've come to learn about. And I've always loved to surround myself with the people who are full of kindness. It's one of the virtues that really hits me down deep into my heart. And I believe kindness is the only language that even the blind can see, the deaf, can hear. Because kindness is very good. And for you to be kindness, you don't have to have much. Sometimes just, a small, stretch towards someone. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a lot of things. You don't have to have, highest level of education. You don't have to be a president. You don't have to be a saint to show kindness. And therefore, I believe this is one of the virtues that all of us as human beings, we must have. It's very important, kindness.
And the requirement to be kind is to have the will to be kind. As you rightfully said, you could have less than the person you're given to. It's just that at that time, they need what you have more than you need it. And that's the true essence of kindness. Yes, indeed. So, Mina, anything else you want to add before we go?
Maybe just say thank you, Doc, for bringing me here to your show. It's been a great opportunity. I haven't done live sessions. I've never been on interviews before. I want to hope that I did well, but I'm very much grateful for you and for the questions. And I believe that throughout also my stories and the things I've said, that someone somewhere will get inspired, and will want to live a positive life. Thank you so much, Doc.
And it is my honor and a privilege to have you on, because it is through your story, your conversation, that we're able to inspire actions. So I thank you for coming on. And I know you're in all the way, whole different parts of the world. You're in Kenya, but it's amazing how we can have this conversation no matter where you are. And I really appreciate you for sharing in such a candid, in such just an honest way. And that's what you've done today. So we have met our objective in life-changing conversation to inspire actions. And I know you would have inspired action in so many through your words today, through your story. So I want you to say give a big shout out to your grandmother and to your mentor before we go.
Okay. Allow me to do this in my local language, Doc.
Certainly.
Is it okay? Okay. Mse wangu George, asante sana budaba. Umeshika mkono for long. Nasema asante sana. God akubless sana. Kwa familia yangu ya Yanga, Mungu awabariki sana kwa kuniinua, kunishika mkono. And to my kuhu back at home, someone showed this to my kuhu. Kuhu ndaku yanja sana bane. Nyasa kasi. Thank you so much, Doc.
Yeah, you know you're gonna have to do it in English too. You can't leave it like that. You have to do that in English as well. But we do have people watching in English.
Sure. So to George again, I'm just saying thank you. I'm so much grateful for holding my hand, for giving me hope, and for being there for me to not like as a role model and a mentor to me. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'm also saying thank you to my family, the Ayangas. You hold my hand. You helped me a lot. Thank you so much. God bless you, the whole family. And to my grandmother, thank you so much, Granny. I love you so much.
Thank you, Mina. Thank you for that. And for anyone watching, you're watching Life-Changing Conversation to Inspire Action. And my guest all the way from Kenya is Mina Ayanga, a junior secondary teacher and a mentor and a member of the CBO, the Elizabeth, Sitawa Cancer Community-Based Organization. He's a director with the organization, and he's an organization that's going to make big things happen. It's going to change the outlook of how people see and cancer in Kenya and outside of Kenya as well. There are no boundaries for the work that this organization, this foundation, the CBO will be doing. So again, thanks for watching us. And until next time, I'll say blessings always.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I read His word, blessing come out of my mouth, cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Loving others as He told me to pray, for healing, miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, He is in me. I am a bold kid.